All right.
We're gonna start.
Well, yeah, the main page is first.
Okay.
Everyone clap. I meant clap once. Oh well.
Like a
So
once?
So first thing, we're gonna have a game night soon. I sent a doodle poll, and according to Harvey, Robbie doesn't think we can have one this Friday, so it looks like next week will be the game night, and it'll probably be the last game night of the year.
Sad face.
At least it's not the last game night forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll never happen.
Another thing. Hey, that guy, the Microsoft guy responded.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that was fast.
So the Microsoft guy that I'm talking about is Andrew Scheifetz, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a Microsoft student partner here. He's like some marketing major or something. I'll put it here. My fan will just blow on the mic. So we've been sending out emails about the Microsoft's app challenge or something. They've been trying to get people to publish apps to the Windows Store, and that challenge ends on April 11th. And it's kind of cool because if you make an app and if they accept it, then you get $100
Yeah, but it costs $100 anyway
to make the app.
to get a Windows 8 publishing license from Microsoft.
Oh, really? You have to pay for that?
Yes.
Fine, and I won't make an app.
To publish to their app store, it costs $100.
Oh, okay. Well, I assumed
For,
they would
like,
have
per
something
year.
like that. Man, I thought that was only Apple.
Nope.
Okay.
People suck.
No, you kind of need that barrier to entry though, or else it's gonna be
Yeah,
a really ugly store with bad stuff.
No hate to me, I'm just being stupid.
Which is why Steve's Greenlight has that barrier to entry.
Yeah,
too.
they added that after the fact, after releasing. So he might come to the meeting next week
Okay.
to present. Like I just got.
Won't
his
the app
reply.
challenge like be over
In
like
3 days.
after that?
Yeah. But he seems desperate. But yeah.
He also makes the claim that you can make a game in 20 minutes.
Yeah. He likes to stretch the truth, which is why I don't like him.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't know the truth was as added plastic.
Yeah, I can cook a meal in 5 minutes.
I can do it in 2.
We'll see if you want to eat it.
Cut a slice of cheese and that's the whole meal.
Open a bag of Lay's.
And I think that's it.
5 minutes is plenty of time to do something in the microwave.
Yeah. Put pizza in the microwave. To 1 minute.
I don't think it works that way.
It's cooking. It's an oven.
Who said standards of quality matter so far?
Yeah.
Pizza should be a 1-1 ratio.
It's all based on perspective. So today's April Fool's Day, and I didn't come up with anything.
April Fools, I did come up with something. I'm just not going to do it.
But I want to tell you guys what we did for the Interguild. So, you know the web community that I run, it's interguild.org. Usually for April Fool's Day, we do this crazy thing where we change everybody's username to something. Like the first year that we did it, everyone's username was changed to anonymous, and it was like you couldn't tell who was posting what. And then the next day you looked at this one forum thread and you're like, oh, these people are having a conversation, but it's all one guy fooling everybody. The year before that, we switched it to, I think that was a joke, so that was a spammer. We basically ran the same prank again because we couldn't think of anything. Except instead of naming everyone anonymous, we named them after famous spam bot accounts that were made on the community. There's this one person who keeps creating spam bot accounts, and like just spam accounts, not spam bots. And the idea was, oh, this person took over the site, and we made it so that there was like the site's colors changed. It was all flashy, obnoxious colors. It was like a random background color each time you loaded the page, and your username was changed to one of those reject accounts. For this year, we decided not to do something like that because it was getting really old, and people would log on and they didn't see anything flashy happening. But
That was the whole
Yeah, and everyone thought like, oh, this year's prank is that there is no prank, sad face. But what actually happened was I haven't been very active in the community this year, and so yesterday I posted something like, I'm gonna be more active now. I'm gonna leave a tab open on the Integral all day long, and I'm gonna post whatever I want. And so I actually programmed a bot that would just pose as me and be online all day posting stuff. And and he only posts in the chat box, not on the forums. And it's a really dumb bot. It only has like 8 different things that he says. But it's so hilarious reading the chat box because people do get fooled by him. And they're like, it's like just it all it does is a random number and select, okay, I'm gonna play this message now.
That's very interesting.
And no, but every now and then he'll post the exact perfect response to a conversation and keep the conversation going. And because it's so obvious, people figure it out eventually. And then they post it in time like, oh my gosh, it's an automated Livio. And then a moderator comes on and deletes that post. And so it's really fun for everybody, really, because once you figure it out, it doesn't take that long to figure it out. You can watch other people fall for it. But yeah, that's really fun. I wish we could have done something for this club, though. I'm not good at coming up with prank ideas. Actually, Harvey said he might call us. Was that a prank? He didn't call us.
Okay, April Fool's is one of the worst things since.
I might call you. Then I won't.
So he's not here. He wanted to do a Skype chat so that he could be here.
Okay, yeah, it's fine if you're doing it.
April Fool's, how about we're just not in the room and then we just talk to each other online instead?
Having a virtual meeting.
April Fools is we'd have a motion sensor out in the hall, and every time it went off, we'd just turn the lights off and stop talking. Everyone would come, walk up to the door and think that there was no meeting.
I have VR.
Right. Okay, so that's it. Now that you should go.
I should go. All right.
You're not welcome here anymore.
You're ambiguous.
Okay, so yeah, for the last week, I wasn't here because I was at GDC, the Game Developers Conference, and it was pretty awesome. I was a conference associate, so a lot of people kind of followed that over the, I don't know, last semester or something when everyone was applying for the position. And so essentially I got an all-access pass for free, for free.
When you're not working.
Yeah, when I'm not working. And I got some pretty awesome networking and networking opportunities and other miscellaneous opportunities. So I guess I'm going to go over just a few of the things that I saw at GDC and some of the things that were available either for me or for other people. So the first day, Monday, of the conference proper, I was working the Intel talks. It's a day-long talk because Intel sponsored GDC, and they got their own room and got to do whatever they wanted with that room, basically. So they brought in a whole bunch of demo PCs, a bunch of Ultrabooks and stuff, and a whole lot of some I think they made them. I'm not entirely sure, but some pretty awesome webcams that have infrared for depth sensing, so sort of a Kinect except for PC. It's like a super fancy webcam. And they showed off their perceptual computing technology, and it was it was good. I mean, at first I was kind of skeptical of it because it's like it's a Kinect except crappier and for PC. Yeah. But they showed that they had like hooks for Unity so that you could easily access the perceptual computing from Unity as long as you pulled in like the DLLs and that sort of thing. So technical stuff, blah blah blah, mumbo jumbo. Nobody understands that. And then, but they also showed some other things. For instance, there's a programming language called processing, which nobody knew about until you went to the. I didn't know about processing. Nobody does because it's a language for artists, and artists don't exist. So.
There's all kind of experimental
Yeah.
digital art things made with that.
I first
Now I
heard
have to
about
look it up.
I heard about it first from Khan Academy. That's
Yeah.
what they teach us.
Yeah, but processing it's an interesting language. They showed us their IDE, which IDE, it was basically Notepad with a run button, so that's the IDE for processing. But it was pretty cool. I mean, it's a great scratchpad sort of program, so it's, you know,
Isn't
it's
it based on JavaScript
I don't
or something?
probably, but
So does it run in a browser?
Oh, the color
no,
reads.
yeah.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
yeah, you can.
Mr. Wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just typed stuff in and then magic happened, and I was amazed by it. So I don't
Go
know.
through kevon.org and
Where?
Kevon, Kevan, and
I do have this.
Okay.
one of the links there will be like a zombie simulator.
Can you put it on
Yeah.
top?
But
Urban Dev?
Not Urban Dev.
but yeah,
It's a tiny little bear. So that was written with processing.
yeah, it was pretty awesome. I know if you go to the processing's website or whatever it is, you can download a whole bunch of libraries and stuff for things like particle effects and then music and things like that. So we got to see some, a lot of taking feed from the camera and then putting particle effects everywhere, and you know, like attaching hats to people's heads, and you know, yeah. So the second day, the second day, I went to the technical artist boot camp, which was it was mostly Blizzard people that I remember, because there were a bunch of guys from Blizzard showing off like technical art and various various aspects of being a technical artist. So the one I remember would be the way they did textures for particle effects, which was pretty awesome. Let's see, they talked a bit about shaders.
How did they do the textures for particle effects?
What?
How did they do the textures for particle effects?
Instead of having like a whole lot of textures kind of layered to make their particle effects, or like a flip book for their particle effects, they would have textures that were randomly scrolling, like 2 or 3. So, and possibly the same texture.
Oh, like the orbs in Diablo 3?
Yeah, yeah. So you know how a lot of particle effects in not as great games as Diablo 3 are kind of repetitive, so they always look the same. Like in Diablo 3, the way they do it is they have textures that are mostly randomized. So they have their base texture, and what they do is they just, you know, scroll them like across each other at varying speeds. And so every time you look at it, that texture looks a little bit different. It looks kind of active and alive. So that's how they get like realistic looking fire and things like that.
They did that with Far Cry 2. They had, like, the bark textures were like 16 super simple textures all layered on
Yep.
each other.
Yep. Let's see. What they also talked a bit about, you know, technical artists as facilitators between content creators and programmers. So that was, you know.
Did you meet any cool people?
I did meet some cool people. Yeah, so at the Intel talk, I met this guy who is a disabled veteran who runs a game studio now.
Do you remember his name?
Let's see here, Jonathan, something with a V. I have his business card at home, but yeah.
Jonathan
His name's Jonathan.
But yeah, he ran. I know the name of his studio. It's a maniacal game, but yeah,
Maniacal? Or?
maniacal,
Oh, maniacal.
a maniacal game.
I'm gonna track his name.
Yeah, it's Jonathan something,
Oh, there it is,
founder
Jonathan
and
Veteran.
yeah. His business card says founder and president, but I don't know what
Jonathan
president means of a game
Needs?
studio. But needs.
It has a V in it.
Okay. Yes, it does. Shut your mouth. N's have V's in them, okay?
No, just that one.
So yeah, I got to talk to him a lot, and I guess by chance I ran into him a bunch of times during the conference. So I got to leave an impression, and I'm going to apply for an internship pretty soon. and yeah, with him.
Ooh, where are they stationed?
I'm pretty sure they're well. The way he said is they're mostly in Los Angeles, but they do everything virtually, so I don't actually have to move.
Yeah. They do a ton of remote work now.
Yeah.
I don't like remote work.
It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them require you to, like for the remote work that I'm doing for GameLoft, I have to leave a screen recorder on the entire time that I'm working, pretty much.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, it's like just to prove that I am actually working.
Okay.
I can do that, or I can use an
That's like their
application that
system.
tracks how much time I'm spending in each application.
It's like, oh, so do they have someone sit down and watch all of the video again? So you could just be recording yourself on Facebook and no one notices.
12 hours of
Movie.
But yeah, Wednesday were the awards. I don't remember much from Wednesday except working the rewards and running into Jonathan again. But Thursday, what happened on Thursday?
Everyone got sick.
Everyone did get sick on Thursday. But
Was it the food poisoning?
yeah, it was, yeah.
It was the sushi.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was actually the pasta salad, but yes.
Never eat pasta salad.
Never eat pasta salad at GDC.
Never eat at GDC. You go to a diner and spend less money.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, it was insane. Like apparently the meals they provided for us at the CAs were like $40 each. And they were just sandwiches.
Yeah.
I was like, what? How could you possibly spend that much money?
when you buy your pass, you can also opt in to pay for like
To
3
pay for
lunches.
meals, yeah.
And it's like a ridiculous price.
Yeah.
And they say what you're mainly paying for is the shipping and handling fee rather than the food.
Yeah, that's why one of the main suggestions at the end of GDC, all the CAs get together and they have a postmortem of the entire week. So, and they make suggestions of how to improve it. And one of the ways one of the most popular ways was to, instead of giving everyone like pre-ordered meals, you just give everyone a meal card or something, a prepaid card with like $15 a day on it.
That would save them a lot of money.
Yeah, it would save them a lot of money. It'd be more convenient for everyone else, you know. Let's see here. What else? Okay, just general opportunities for CAs. The first day I was there, they announced a whole bunch of the activities that the CAs could do, and one of them was the League of Legends tournament, which was hosted by employees from Riot, and they gave out like Riot points as rewards for.
Did they do something like that last year?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Are they gonna keep doing
I remember a
Probably, because I know 2 people who actually got job offers from Riot, just from the CA program, so that's cool.
I know
Let's see.
the other Tyler went pretty far in their interview process, but he didn't make it.
Oh, yeah. There were like 8 Tylers who were CAs. I don't know. They love my name apparently. That's why I got in, I guess. No.
All right, next
It's like,
applicant,
I approve of
Tyler,
your name.
Approved.
Yeah.
Tyler,
You just get past the first name. All right, done.
Yep.
Just a time-saving measure, because
Yeah.
Tylers are usually good, so whatever.
Yep. I pretty much every day I was there, I got to play a couple of games of Witch Hunt or Mafia, depending on what you want to call it, but it's the same game. And that was pretty awesome. That's actually a very good networking opportunity, because as soon as you die, you get to go and talk with all the other people who are dead. And then,
Do your self-kill first.
yeah, and it's, well, I didn't. I'm, yeah, never mind.
Did you get that?
Yeah, I got to talk to a bunch of people, so it was, you know, I made a bunch of friends on, or at least on Facebook, as much as you can call those people friends.
Are you
but-
still in contact with some of the people you met last year?
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yep. It's a great idea.
Go to meetups.
Yeah.
My number one advice.
Meetup.
Like Polycount had one, TigSource had one, Wolfire Games had one.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and if you are a CA, talk to the other CAs. Like, that's something that I wish I had done more of the first year I went, was just sit down and talk to random other CAs, because they're like the nicest, most awesome people you could possibly meet. So you could just, you know, if you guys were all CAs, I could just, and I don't know any of you, I'm like, hey, can I sit with you guys? Hey, what's going on? What do you do? And then it's like, oh, this awesome conversation starts, and then, hey, I get an internship. But yeah. But seriously, do that. It's amazing and it works and it's awesome because everyone else there wants to do that sort of same thing. Everyone wants to make networking contacts.
Everyone else there has the same goal that
Yeah.
you do.
They want to meet other people who are either in the industry or going to be in the industry and just to know
You wouldn't
people.
be at a conference
So,
if you didn't want to.
yeah, exactly. And you wouldn't, like, you know, volunteer all your time to go there either. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna.
No, now that I think of it, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? I was in the Looping Louie tournament, which is I don't think anyone outside of the CA program even knows what Looping Louie is. It's like a game for 4-year-olds, but it's the most addictive game ever made. Whoever made it is a genius.
Is it something that you play in person?
Yeah, it's a physical game, so it's not a video game, but it's hard to describe. Like, I guess it's kind of easy to describe. There's like this crane thing, and then when the game starts, it falls down and it spins, and then in the 4 quadrants, you have 3 kind of chickens and a paddle. And what your job is to, when the little airplane comes around, you hit him up so he doesn't knock down your chickens.
How do you spell
And it sounds horrible, but that is the most addictive game ever because, people have, mastered the tactic of, knocking other people's chickens down. So you know exactly how hard to hit the thing and just, snipe other people's chickens. So your job... And it sounds stupid, but there were, a bunch of, 20-year-old college students just playing this game that was made for 4-year-olds in Germany. So, I'm pretty sure this game only exists in Germany because the instructions are only in German. So that's why no one really knows what the rules were. So we're just don't let your chickens die. Those are the rules.
I want to know what the game for 8-year-olds are like.
I don't know.
I want to know how sophisticated it can be.
But that was also a good networking opportunity too, because it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to sit there and hit the little paddle to save your chickens and murder other people's chickens. But so we were like, while I'm murdering your chickens here, what do you do? I murder chickens for a living. Seems legit.
How am I doing?
Let's see here. There was a Magic the Gathering tournament for CAs. That was pretty awesome.
When do you hold all these events?
After the conference is closed for the evening, so after 6 p.m. basically.
Okay.
All the CAs pretty much go back to the CA lounge, which is where all of us hang out.
Where is the CA lounge?
It changes each year. This year it was in the North Moscone building on the bottom floor. But
So it's actually in the conference?
yes, it's inside.
As opposed to some hotel?
Yeah, it's inside so that we can go back to the lounge in between shifts and then quickly get to where we're supposed to be going. So let's see here. Thursday we had our playtesting sessions. So everyone who had a game that they were either working on or just generally looking for feedback for, they set up their games and people would come by and randomly play them and give feedback.
Did you have a game?
I didn't have a game, but I play tested a bunch of other people's games, which is a good way to make an impression as well. So you just say, all right, I'm going to intelligently give you constructive feedback on your game, and people like that. So especially if you want to be a designer or something and you can talk to them about your area of focus, or I would talk a lot about the technical art aspects of their games and what I thought of them. So
It's really weird when the Valve people do that.
yeah.
It's when I was part of the insurgency team, they did that. It's just why am I doing this? And why am I doing that? And it's really weird.
Yeah. But
when a designer critiques your work?
Yeah, when somebody very successful critiques your work.
Because
It's
I'm
scary.
definitely used to it. I'm definitely used to that because
it's
my graphic design teacher would look at your design and say, keep asking, why did you choose this color? Why did you choose that arrow?
It's like when I was on the insurgency team, we had somebody from Valve actually playtest one of the levels. And he was just like, like, the entire time, just scrutinizing why all of this was happening.
Yep. So I got to play test a couple of people's games, and then the CAs will usually get together, and if they don't want to eat something from the cafeteria or something, they'll go out to a restaurant together in like a huge group, and then every restaurant in the area pretty much hates us because we don't tell them we're coming until like 5 minutes beforehand, and they're like, it's like midnight, and suddenly you have 30 people showing up and wanting a table together. So, and then we play games of Ninja in their lobby, and yeah, definitely play the games with the other CAs if you get into a session. I recommend Witch Hunt, but whatever you want to do. We played Johann Sebastian Joust a lot.
That sounds awesome.
That was an awesome game. Like, we played it last year, but I think it still hasn't even come out yet, has it?
Well,
Yeah.
the only way to play it is to get their crazy setup.
Yeah. But
I don't think they're gonna sell that. Like, you can put it up yourself maybe, but it's not really.
yeah. But that was an awesome game. Like, and we got to see how they've how that game has evolved from last year, which is pretty awesome. Because like last year, it was just knock the other person's controller out of their hands. Basically, that's how you win. And then this year, they had like an immortality feature. So like if someone's about to knock your controller, you can pull the trigger and you'll be immortal for a couple of seconds. But if you hold it too long, then you knock yourself out. So,
Is that the only what's the word?
advancement, iteration.
Is that the only bad thing that happens if you use that feature?
Huh?
If you use the immortality feature, what's the price that you pay?
Essentially, you knock yourself out if you hold it for too long, and you can't quite tell how long you have.
Is it like a random interval?
No, it's 5 seconds, but
you can only use it so many times.
You can only use it for so long. So like if you
so long total over the whole game.
No, like at once. So it takes like 3 times as long to regenerate as it does for you to spend it. So if you want to get 5 seconds of immortality again, you have to wait for 15 seconds.
Okay.
And since it's in person, I can know that if you've been holding it for a while, I can stay back with my controller over here and then wait for you to let go and then just lunge at you. And I can hold mine down, and since you've already used most of your time, I know that I can just keep smacking your controller and then you won't be able to hit me. So
Yeah, I didn't even know they were still working.
yeah, I didn't either, but apparently they are.
And who's making it? Is it like a studio or some guy, Johann Sebastian?
I know there's a couple of people. I believe there's a studio, but like last year when they won the Innovation Awards, they all went up on stage and they introduced the world to, I guess, their favorite drinking game that the guy had made up.
All of those guys.
Yeah, yeah, the thing where you put the card up here and you try to you guess who has the highest card or whose card matches yours, I think it was, and you slap them in the face.
I remember seeing that.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Like, we should do it sometime.
One of them fall over.
Yes. They tackled each other on stage. It was amazing. Let's see, what else? Friday. Not a whole lot happened. Oh, wait, I went to the Building a Better Apocalypse session on Friday, which was pretty cool. It talked a lot about, it was from the game writer / designer's perspective on how to use an apocalypse setting to I guess manipulate players, but to give an experience. So, and all storytelling, especially in video games, is a little bit of manipulating the feelings of the person who's playing. So, yeah.
Manipulates your soul.
Yeah, or The Walking Dead. I don't know if anyone's played the game or seen it playing, but The Walking Dead, the mechanics are, non-existent. It's multiple choice. You pick things, you maybe walk around a little bit. There's one scene where you get a gun and you get to shoot zombies, but for the most part, that game is nothing. There's no mechanics at all.
It's like a point and click.
Yeah.
Did you notice a game called Spin the Bottle at GDC? I think there was a game like that. It was
that game exists.
No, it's like the way it worked was.
It's like, is this a serious question?
No. It's kind of it's kind of like Joust, except you have it's on the Wii U. You have Wii remotes, and sometimes it's like you have a Wii remote vertically in this position, right? And then you have a person's nose and another person's nose trying to lift the Wii remote up. That's one mini game. Another one is you stand up and then the person's facing me, and the other person's I'm facing him. Hold around in that position. His hands are around mine like that, and you jump at a specific time with the Wii remotes per person, and it's like.
I remember something similar.
No, I didn't see that.
I think I've heard about.
I haven't seen any of those mini games though, but I remember seeing one really weird video. It was like a trailer of this game where it was built all around having one controller with like a party of people, and usually it's like, leave the controller one side of the room, everybody run, pick up the controller, or do something with it. I don't remember, but it might be
party games.
Yeah, it was really wacky. And
They're really great for that type of stuff, like just the whole out of the screen scenario.
basically using controllers.
For my demonstration, I'll
toys
say
rather than video games.
We've run out of time for TF2.
So yours is less have the components on there?
We'll just see how long we get through it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Valve was there. Oh yeah, from the Monday Intel talks, I got one of their super awesome cameras for free because they just gave them away to people, so that was cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a creative something, you know, it's a super awesome webcam basically with a depth sensor on it, so that I guess it's so that I can develop for their perceptual computing technology. I intend to at least look
I remember
forward.
getting two BlackBerry tablets because
Intel GameDev that?
Yeah.
they wanted you to develop for the BlackBerry.
By the way,
It's like you just walk up to their thing and they give you a BlackBerry tablet filling out a postcard.
BlackBerry
That was last year,
campaign
though.
to get more developers on it is just really sad.
But yeah.
In my opinion, it makes me feel bad for them.
I got two free tablets.
Yeah.
by the way, did you know I'm psychic?
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna use my powers right now. Valve was there, and they did not announce Half-Life 3.
That's correct. They,
Bam!
yeah.
12 for 12.
You don't freaking
On
say.
Valve.
Let's see, what else?
I was busy talking about Dota.
Yeah.
Totally awesome.
Oh, also on Thursday, they had a portfolio review and mock interviews for all the CAs. So essentially, if you wanted to have your portfolio reviewed and given a mock interview,
Like for different positions?
yeah, for whatever position you felt like applying for, they had those. I didn't do them because I didn't have my resume with me because I wasn't looking for a job. But yeah, and I was more interested in playtesting anyways. So because this was Thursday after I had already met the guy who's going to give me an internship. There's no maybe, no, he's going to do it.
And if he doesn't.
Oh, if he doesn't.
Right.
No.
TF2.
TF2.
Before we run out of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure, alright.
Although
yeah,
we
that's
did start
pretty much
10 minutes
everything.
late, so
So we should end in 10 minutes.
yeah, we should.
We don't want
Gives
to
us-
rush TF2.
gives us
That's
a
such a
half
great
an hour.
game.
Well, we
I
can
would
always
hate to-
continue the discussion.
I
I
hate
can
to
show
not
spin the
miss
model.
Oh yeah.
Spin the laptop.
Oh, yeah.
Spin the laptop.
I got a free game in the raffle and some skins for League of Legends.
What game?
And I got Red Orchestra 2, although
Cool.
I tried installing it and Steam won't accept my CD key, so I contacted their support and, you know, somebody's getting decapitated in the near future, but, or they're gonna let me play the game and then lots of people will be
We
virtually
probably have
decapitated, but.
we've had like dozens and dozens of keys that they gave out at GDC and none of them are working. They're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe somebody with a camera phone swipe over and then they go back.
Well, the thing is, like, it's actually a case. Like, I got like a case for the game and a new CD. So, what else? There
You got
was,
physical wear.
yeah,
Oh,
they
you
were,
get quite
yeah.
a few. You get quite a bit of stuff.
They were
with
giving
all
out
access pass.
beta keys for a bunch of games, like
I didn't get anything when I
You
went.
have an all access packs?
No.
That's why.
they gave out beta keys for Marvel something Heroes something. I don't know. It's a closed beta.
Don't they
but-
have a Heroes MMO or something?
Yeah, that's probably the one, and that they were giving out beta keys for that. Just, you know, here's a bunch of beta keys. You know, take one and cross it out when you're, you know, when you picked one. So it was just posted on the wall in the CA lounge. Like, there you go. Here's like 500 keys. Go for it.
Should we transition now?
Yep. And that was everything. And Valve was there, so we should talk about their game now.
Cool. So, how are we going to organize this?
Maybe this should be the organization meeting.
Oh, good idea. So, I actually remember, I'm like, oh, I want to plan some kind of cool questions to ask. But I didn't do that. All I did was research.
Might help if you get up in the front of the room for filming's sake.
Should we? Oh, for camera's sake?
Well, just for seeing who the heck is talking.
Because I feel like that would kind of ruin the discussion vibe.
Well,
I don't want to let you.
well, you're kind of leading the discussion, aren't you?
It's true.
Yeah.
And I'm just suggesting you should get up into the kind of the front-ish.
You should also wear a cape and have someone hold a fan up.
We can get like a podium.
You need to get him a battle card or something.
You know, maybe some flags in the background, a tapestry or something.
We
Yeah.
won't destroy the discussion vibe.
It'll be fine.
Smash the vibe to pieces. Okay, so, is Patrick the only one who doesn't like TF2?
Should I get up to the front of the room and rant?
Now defend yourself.
Why don't you like it?
Defend yourself, heretic.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit more about.
Yeah.
Everyone's played TF2?
Has everybody played it?
He hasn't played it.
It's free. What are you doing?
Somebody doesn't have a good enough
It's
computer.
free.
Yeah, my computer's not good enough.
Have you watched YouTube videos of people
Alright.
playing it?
Yes, I have.
So I guess I'm ranting on why I don't like TF2.
And then getting stabbed afterwards. It's, that's
Okay,
how-
so
Should we block your face off the video?
My name is Dad Trick.
alright. Pretty much the reason why I just don't like TF2 is that I play it and I don't have fun at all playing it.
That's
Like
a
I,
good reason.
Well, what's
It's
not
like-
fun exactly?
It's so hard to play.
none of the classes feel like they do enough. In my opinion, it's like I feel like I can't do anything with any of the classes.
Do you think it's because you're used to playing games like Halo where you can solo through the whole thing, and you have to work as a team in Team Fortress 2?
Or perhaps
It's not-
the classes are too watered down because there's too many of them.
Maybe they just walk too slow.
So they're
Well,
rolling
it's just
into
it's
really
part of it's like I feel like none of the classes are able like it's like in a one-on-one fight I feel like I should be able to at least be able to match someone like shot for shot or whatever and like be able to take him out with only a few shots. The problem is like I will shoot someone and it's like, well, they're not dying at all. It's like it's taking like 5 minutes to kill this one guy.
Oh, so when I first started playing TF2, I remember coming across somebody on some forum saying that if you go into like the options, you can turn on this feature that will show how much damage you're
Which I
doing.
did turn on.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And even then, it's like, okay, I'm seeing these numbers and they should be, and this person should be dead quicker, but they're not dying. So,
there's actually it depends on what character you're using, what weapon you're using, and who you're going up against. Like
Each class has
Yeah, granted, I know they all
varying
have
types of
different
health,
health
yeah,
abilities, etc.
so
You need a sense of
most
space.
most people have heard how the art style in TF2 was designed to prioritize the character silhouettes, and that was mainly because they had a bunch of visual. They had a bunch of.
They wanted you to know when you
Yeah.
needed to run away and when you could stay and fight.
So they had like this hierarchy of things that they wanted players to know right away when they saw a character. They wanted to know first what team they're on, what class they are, and what weapon they're holding. And that's basically so the player can determine whether should I run or fight. And I wonder if you just don't have enough experience with TF2 and you just don't know what to do. And like, should I run or fight? And you just
Here's
attack.
a really important question. When is the first time you played it?
Yeah, I know.
Let's see.
Now that thing's like 20 gigabytes.
It was very easy to pick up in 2004, 2005 when there were no different types of equipment. But now that there are dozens and dozens of different weapons for each.
Yeah, but even then, though, like even when I was
I'm gonna
playing,
go out on a limb and say
even
if 2 came out in 2007.
yeah, it
Just
was
to let you know.
2007.
Yeah, I'm just like,
But like even
the
then,
original
though,
Team
like
Fortress?
when the
Team Fortress 2 was
Fortress Forever was more popular.
It was
than the original
2007?
Team Fortress
Yeah.
At that point.
it was
the,
in
the
the
orange
orange box. It was in the orange box at the time.
the original was a mod for Quake.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
they made
And then they
Fortress
made
Forever.
TF Classic.
TF Classic was
Oh.
after that, and then
Okay.
Fortress Forever was a Half-Life 2 mod, and then Team Fortress 2 came out after.
But
I
like,
remember
Team
it
Fortress
was
Forever
developed.
was not officially like.
It's not an official game,
It
but it
was
was
a
more
side thing
popular
made
than
by
Team
fans.
Fortress Classic.
The characters did look like they were from Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
And the art style and everything. And that was actually mentioned in the development commentary. The fact that you could not distinguish the two games; they looked the same.
So, the main thing I'm hearing from Patrick is that you had a bad experience with you just jumped in and the game field was wrong and you didn't feel like you were getting the right information.
it's
You could just.
it's like the problem is
I
it's
think
like
it was
even though
expectation.
It
Even
sounds
though
like you had an expectation of this person should die, and the developers wanted you to have the expectation of no, that person will not die.
well I'll say
But
this
they
right now
didn't get
I'll
it
say this
covered.
right now too like whenever I would use particular weapons I felt like some weapons should be doing a hell of a lot more damage than other weapons, like the rocket launcher for the soldier should be doing a hell of a lot more damage.
Right.
And I should
That stuff is really tricky to pick up on. It takes a while. It took me a really long time to figure out that the shotgun is
Doesn't do much.
shotgun is
the
complete
shotgun.
crap.
The shotgun
No,
does
shotgun's
almost
awesome.
nothing until you're like as close as you and me,
Yeah.
and then
I-
as you get closer, it ramps hugely up. It's
So-
more than just like a typical
Which
cone. You can't
it's
really.
it's weird though because that's not how like an actual shotgun would
It's
work
not at
though.
all like it. But even most
Depends on where you fire
even
it.
most
If
fictional
you're firing pellets
representations,
out
they
of it,
give it
that's
this
how it's gonna
massive,
work. If
bizarre
you're firing
cone.
a slug
It
at it,
doesn't.
Well, even
It's
then
not
though, I've
gonna
like
work
fired,
with it.
I fired shotguns, and you should still be able to hit someone from like 30
Yeah.
feet away
Well, you
though.
can.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like not like 3 inches, but
So
I
the
don't
game
know.
balancing was getting in your way.
It's like that, and I feel like some classes were just not fun at all to play. Like engineer, I absolutely hated engineer.
I
I
know.
loved engineer.
Oh well,
I
all of
think-
his weapons are pretty much useless. So
Yeah,
that's
that-
why-
that's true.
I pretty much hated engineer,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I think it's mostly because you would, and it might not just because I'm just not playing it right or something like
Is it
that.
'cause
But
of the
Well,
graphics?
and-
well, it's like I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna upgrade these things and then move them forward here once they're upgraded, and then it's like, oh, I get them forward to where the action's at, and then they're instantly destroyed, and it's like,
Okay, you didn't play it until after a long time after then,
so.
because you haven't been able to move them since the middle of
Like I
last
said,
year.
Like,
Oh,
You can
I
remove
didn't know
sentries.
that.
No way.
Yeah, so he brings up a couple interesting points. First is, you come in late in the cycle of this thing that is constantly developing and progressing, and there's this expectation that they've already got most of the customers they're going to get. And now it's like, how do we retain our current customers? We need to add stuff, and that will naturally make things more complex, and then it's harder to get into, which makes the shift
Because
from free to play
originally,
very difficult.
originally you couldn't move your sentries at
Yeah.
all. You place it down, you
For
upgrade
most
it,
of
and it fires
for
from
most
that
of
position.
TF2's lifetime, you haven't been able to do that.
but even then, though, I feel like I just spent like the last like 3 minutes upgrading my damn turret,
Absolutely.
and then it gets instantly destroyed.
And the second interesting
'Cause it's
question is, like, if you make a game of a certain complexity, people like games with depth. So if it has depth, then it takes some time to learn, but then you also want things to be instantly approachable where, like, where you really feel like I'm definitely playing this class right, and you want to be able to do that
Maybe we should
right
discuss the
away.
game
So
and stop
it's a
hating
very
on
difficult
Patrick.
balance for a developer to hit between immediately accessible and having depth. It's hard to have both at once.
This is
Personally-
becoming less of a discussion about TS2 and more of a discussion about game mechanics.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to generalize it because
Well, at least it's interesting.
this is
Yeah.
this is the game.
But
Dev
I
club.
personally think that the
Training
game is
club.
pretty accessible. It's just I didn't
I don't-
expect to master it right away, and so I was
I'll
very
counter
familiar with it.
your argument by saying first time I saw the main menu, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, the main
I'm like,
menu
what
changed.
the?
That's a terrible. But
Granted, like
they-
once
the
you're
main
in
menu
game,
used
once
to
you're
be-
in
used
game,
to be
yeah, I
like
thought the
server
UI was
browser.
fine
and
with
they've
in
cut
that
down a lot of
regards.
those extra things. There's no aim down sight or
I don't know.
things like that.
There's also, I don't know. There's some other things. The only class I got relatively like thought it was decently okay to play as was the spy, but that's because I'm a stealth game enthusiast. But I still, even then, that didn't felt completely right because I felt it was kind of complete bullshit that you can like backstab someone while I'm cloaked. But
Well, it's all balancing in the end. So
yes,
Yeah,
but
because if you can backstab somebody while you're close,
I don't know.
it's
I guess it brings up the
Kill
idea of like,
everybody.
okay, do you want to have like absolute perfect balance, or do you want just like
yeah, first impression.
versus actual like, I don't know, having fun to play, but.
Well, you have to
Yeah.
consider how fun it is for other people to get backstabbed by a clone. That's a big problem with multiplayer games.
Like,
Yeah, so
What's that-
I've
what's
heard
that
this from a
term?
lot of people. I've heard this from actual developers, a lot of actual developers, interviews, and rarely I get to talk to them when I went to PAX or something. They people like Blizzard and Riot, and so they all talk about when you have a PvP game, the challenge is you have to make everyone feel like their character is overpowered, and you have to keep, at the same time, you can't ever make it feel unfair when they get beat. So, like, if someone else beats you, you have to sort of feel like somehow you might have been able to do something to make it more likely that you won. And so
it shouldn't be like losing in Mario Kart. Where it's
Yeah.
all random.
it very much should not feel like getting first place anymore. But, you know, in TF2, they've definitely got the part down where it feels fair, so like you can't get backstabbed by someone who's completely invisible. But sometimes maybe they don't nail the part of everybody feeling overpowered.
Yeah. Other than that, let's see.
Well, I can definitely think of times when I have felt overpowered as different classes.
Yeah, sometimes you can have these great moments like you've got a heavy medic team and they hit you overcharged. You just feel so totally awesome. And they've got like those domination things to kind of give you a feeling of when you're give you this roller coaster of when you're really hot and when you're really not.
And the critical hit thing. That was also part of that to help you get on a roll in a way.
And we should totally talk about how they do crits in
They do so many things just to
TF2.
manage pace.
All right, how many people know how they roll crits in TF2?
I don't know the specifics.
Okay, well, the way it works is your odds of getting a critical hit depend, or a critical attack depend on how much damage you've dealt in the last 20 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So
Bullshit.
so it ramps up to a certain maximum. But like there's a minimum. Most weapons it's 15%, and then it ramps up to like 30% chance per shot, or every 2 seconds if it's a fully auto weapon like the minigun. And so it creates this like effect where you can. It's kind of analogous to the kill streaks in Modern Warfare, where if you're having this brief moment where you're just really nailing them, you can clean up really quickly. And it also, if you learn about this mechanic, it adds an extra level of depth. You don't need to know about it to play TF2, but you can actually have these moments where you decide, okay, I've just dealt a ton of damage, I killed 2 guys, I'm at 1/3 health. Do I go back and heal? I'm going to lose my crit bonus, or do I try to get someone else while I've got a good chance of crit? So, the TF2 developer blog talks about they try to create these plateaus where if you play a while, everyone sort of gets a chance where eventually they'll have a really good streak once in a while, every game or two.
They call it a rush.
I feel like what this is telling me too is that like TF2 does not fit the standard conventions of a first-person shooter.
No, it doesn't. They really try to make it.
And that might have been
very
part of what
arcade.
has thrown me off about it, is because I was expecting more something closer to an action, to like normal
and it's very,
shooter.
very team focused.
When I first started playing,
Because it's like you can't
well,
really go against a whole team by yourself like you can in most other shooters.
It's
Like
more-
Call of Duty,
It's
Halo,
more
you
team
can do
focused
that.
than Halo or Call of Duty with sentinel stealth. It's kind of in the middle. When I first played Skyrim, I absolutely hated it because I never really played like an Elder Scrolls game, and I kind of had the wrong expectations. But like I played it for a while, and then I got really
I don't know.
addicted to it. So
Yeah,
your expectations are huge.
I almost wonder if it's just because they just don't explain stuff very well to a new player.
They
Like,
don't,
oh,
yeah, it's true.
oh, like here's these other things you should know about this class.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
it took
this
me
thing.
forever.
They've been trying. They've been adding class tutorials, but that was years after they released. So that
And I think I ended up playing all of them because I, again, never really had played it before we had this like whole idea of, oh, let's play this game and see what happens. I played all of them. I still wasn't quite sure like when I should use
Like
certain
this is
things.
now a conversation between us two.
But
Yeah.
But the listening is so good.
Your experience with Elder Scrolls was just like my experience with Half-Life. I
Right.
started playing Half-Life and I just didn't like it. And then I went back one day with a
I-
completely different set of expectations and I had so much fun.
So I think that's one of the reasons that they made the art style so weird is they were trying to influence people to like maybe not take other shooters as
I think the art style's amazing.
expectations. They were trying to say, you know, things might
And
work
it's
a little
ageless.
different here.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something that's going to look good 10 years from now.
It's
Because it will age well.
It's an example of
Yeah.
art design.
One thing that's really brilliant about the art design is that it's like kind of goofy and cartoony, and it keeps people from being mad. I have
Yeah.
seen less people raging in TF2 than any other
It's just so
PvP shooter
It's like-
anywhere.
It's
Ever.
like it makes you want to have fun.
Yeah, so
Because
it's like you can't really be that mad because it's like someone shoots you with this comical cartoon bazooka, you just explode in a million pieces.
It's not-
and
it's not-
like, doop-a-doop.
And
Yeah,
that's
but
why-
even that-
that's
yeah,
actually
but even
what
if-
attracted me to the game
Uh,
because of that vibe.
So people don't
Even-
rage a lot.
I don't know. Even with that though, it's like
Yeah,
just-
you're not guaranteed to have a good time, but
Yeah.
people don't like
I'm
rage at
just-
other players and like, you know, insult their moms and stuff.
No, I'll just rage at the game. I
Yeah,
don't rage.
people-
I usually
people might
don't.
not like
I usually
the
don't
game.
rage at the other players, even like
Well, it's just
when I'm
not your
playing.
Yeah,
time.
but
Halo
you
or
know, some
stuff like
people
that.
do, but somehow the art style keeps those people from
Especially during
going
Meet the
out.
Pyro.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah. So.
Oh man, that's the most
I don't know,
frustrating class to fight
I think
against.
the addition of user-generated content in that game increased its longevity like tenfold.
Yeah.
'Cause
It's a lot of fun to just go on random servers that have wacky stuff all over it.
Oh,
and
just
see what
like
they're doing.
look
Looks like
on
you have
YouTube for
user-generated
anything where
maps.
Gabe Newell is talking.
You know.
That man is a genius. Gabe Newell is an absolute genius.
Yeah.
I would really recommend just go on YouTube and just search for where he's given speeches.
and
Just look up anything by him.
He really talks a lot about creating value and monetization, and like it's an interesting shift from the idea of maximizing revenue and minimizing cost. It's more like how can we produce the most for society and get money for doing that, rather than just looking directly at dollars. And you know, you can't really keep that focus in a publicly traded company, but it works really, really well at Valve, and they're making money hand over fist.
No.
It sounds almost. It sounds similar to Google. Like they remind me so much of Google actually.
Yeah.
the first 4 people that had user-generated content in the store, they got 25% of what was in there. In the first month, each of them generated over $42,000, and they ended up flying them out there because that exceeds PayPal's maximum send limit. So they flew all of them out there to accept their checks and gave them to the studio and whatnot. But it's pretty insane how much people spend on digital content like hats.
So who here has actually bought anything from the TF2 store? I bought something just so that I could get rid of the annoying inventory limit. Yeah.
I did once I realized I had played TF2 like twice as long
Yeah.
as a game I paid 3 times as much for, and I just like I had some spending money, and I was like, I don't want to buy another game because I'm still playing TF2. And it was like they actually like I just felt like, you know what, they deserve it.
Yeah, it makes,
And
it
I just
makes
wanted
it
to
worth
show
it.
my support, and you know I'll get a little something in game for it, but it was mostly just about like
all
it's like this is worth for me. Not everyone enjoys it this much, but I'm just like I like this 5 times.
I will say this though. I'm glad it was free.
I like this 5 times as much as most $60 games. I was a huge TF2 fan.
Because I'm like, I think I'm because what was the other game I just bought? That I bought kind of recently. I think I got Dishonored. Granted, I got it for like a sale.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
Yeah,
But like, I think I was playing that. And I'm thinking, okay, I should enjoy this game because it's supposed to be a stealth game. And then it's like, I'm playing through. I'm like,
It's not really a stealth game because you just
I'm like,
teleport.
I don't-
and
I
murder
just- I
people
just-
instantly.
but even then,
It's
but
a
even
lot,
then though, that
it's
just
a lot like Thief though. A lot.
I don't know.
I
It's like I was just like, I'm playing this. I'm like, I'm not enjoying this because I can't tell if I'm getting detected or not at all because of the
But they have a
UI is
power
just
for
kind of
that.
crappy.
So the point I was trying to make is like I just felt like these people have earned this money from me, so I'll give it to them after the fact. And I think that there's a lot to be said for giving people an opportunity to very, very easily give you money. So just having those microtransaction things in there, if you just make it really, really convenient for people to just like, it's like Kickstarter. It's just sometimes people just have a little extra money and they want to show their support for something. And if they want to show support for your game, whether it's free to play or not, if you have a little monetization thing in there where, not only can you support us, but you'll get a cute little something in here. It might be cosmetic or it might even kind of do something funny or cool.
Yeah.
And usually when it comes to that, just getting somebody to buy something for the first time is the hardest thing to do. And then once you do that,
Yeah,
they'll be more
but-
likely to buy again.
Yeah, but after you get somebody to spend the first time, most people spend, like with mobile apps, it's like once somebody spends $1, the average person ends up spending almost $6 after that initial purchase.
Yeah, the difference between no money and some money is the biggest one.
Although I think it would be interesting to talk about why Valve might have done like what Patrick said, which is lower the damage that everyone does or like increase everyone's health. So compared to other shooters, for instance, like Call of
So
Duty,
you
you
don't
don't-
die one hit.
yeah,
kill,
so you don't die very quickly.
Well,
And
like
Because
the
they didn't want it
basic,
to be
the basic idea is
Counter-Strike.
some classes are you fight, and then there are other classes where you don't fight at all, and that's a really weird thing to get into from another shooter. If you play Halo a lot and you have a sniper rifle, you've got a backup weapon that actually does something. If you play the sniper in TF2, good luck killing anyone with anything. You have to be pretty darn good and a little bit lucky
I
to
love
kill
Sniper.
anyone with anything
Sniper's my
besides your
favorite class.
primary sniper weapon in a sniper situation. So most games build an expectation that you're a little specialized, but you can handle just about anything, sort of. With TF2, you're very specialized, and so, like, if you don't realize, oh, I'm one of the 4 classes that can actually win a face-to-face fight, then you might have a really bad experience thinking, I have a shotgun, this must do something. It must be good. Right.
What I love about TF2 is that each class plays very differently, and so you can't play as a sniper when you're a scout or something. Like you can, and it's fun because you know you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, I love it, but
You're doing
it does create an additional barrier where it's like, first you have to learn how the classes play, and then you can have fun. And some people will.
Battlematic.
Yeah,
Although
some people's first impression will be, I'm going to install this and join a server and pick a class and just go and figure it out as I go. That's how we would all love to do it kind of by default. And if that way doesn't work so well, people can have like first impressions of your game.
But I remember when I was listening to the commentary, they said that each class was designed as like its own mini experience wrapped up in a package. And so you basically pick what type of experience you want to have when you play. And that goes a long way for just making you want to play for a much longer session, because you can change things up without getting tired that quickly. But something that I noticed yesterday was in the character select screen, they grouped their characters into like 3 or 4 groups. And I'm wondering what that is.
It's like
They don't
3
mean
offense, defense, and support.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
don't mean anything. They're meaningless.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I
Well,
think
They're totally meaningless.
Well, 'cause I think
it
they-
doesn't even fit on like a one-dimensional spectrum at all. So
Yeah, because
Yeah.
most of the time I play offense.
it seemed weird to me because I was like,
they made it up when they
'cause I-
first released the game, and over time, they kind of
The
learned
weapon
what was
updates.
actually happening, and they kind
yeah.
of released some weapons that.
yeah,
can
because
turn
that
it,
didn't make
so-
any sense to me because I was like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, why are these two in
Yeah,
the?
like
I'm like, why is the
the
heavy
demo
and the
man.
demo man in defense when they do probably the higher damage? I don't.
So Demo Man moves slowly. So
Yeah,
Demo
so
Man,
he's
Demo Man
he's
is
usually on
defense,
defense by
yeah.
default because he has to be there first before you push forward. Demo Man is right on the line. You can't possibly say he's more one than the other.
I was here the entire time, I swear.
So,
Heavy is like
Way to join us.
so.
like for example, with the pyro, they kind of learn.
Also here.
With the pyro, they sort of learned what was working with the pyro and what wasn't. So one of the first weapons they released was a flare gun to give him some range, and like they've kind of updated and given people tools.
That was
to
the other thing too.
deal
With
with
the,
things.
I think it was like, for some reason, all the characters seem to move just really slow to me,
Yeah,
except for the scout.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you play like Quake and then you come to TF2, it's like mind-bogglingly slow.
Soldier, you go
I think that's pretty much just to make the sniper and the spy work.
Again, it just might be my own
Well,
personal
yeah, it's
biases.
like, you have to get behind people with the spy. It's a pain in the butt. So
'Cause,
they
like,
make them slower.
It's because,
and
it's
the
because
sniper,
you're used to
the
playing things
distances
like
are
Halo.
pretty close actually
Yeah.
in TF2. So to make the
Again,
sniper,
Halo. Well,
not
Halo
have to-
just added sprint
Yeah.
finally.
But it's like
They just added it finally.
TF2 for consoles was a complete and utter failure.
Yeah, it is. It is really bad for consoles.
Why?
And it hasn't
The
even been
controls?
patched at all.
Well,
there's
the
still
biggest-
there's still
the biggest
exploits where you
problem-
can build sentries in the middle of the skybox.
The biggest problem is pushing
What's,
patches.
what's Indy saying?
Okay, so if you play it on the console versus the PC, on the PC you know you can swivel the mouse really fast, and you're like, oh, he's gonna kill me. Well, on the console you can't swivel as fast because the analog can't really take it
Yeah.
as
Well,
fast.
and,
Well, it's just a thing with most shooters, really.
and it hasn't been
Exactly,
updated since
yeah.
it
Not to
came out.
mention with the mouse, you can
So they
change
haven't
the
So
done any
they haven't done
relative rather than just.
no.
I think that was the
Any
only.
exploit
I think that was
fixes
the
or
only
any-
reason why I actually played it on PC
Is
instead
it
of trying
free
to play
on
on
console?
con.
No, it's
cause,
not free.
no,
on
because the
console.
only
It's
way you
part
can,
of
the
the
only way you
loot
can get it
box.
on console is through the orange box.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
And it's terrible.
So yeah, Valve hasn't supported very much because they don't like having to.
Valve doesn't like anyone besides themselves.
They don't like having to pay companies money to push a patch up.
Yeah,
They really
that's
like on
part
PC
of-
that they can just instantly do it.
It's
I
kind of
think
annoying
it's
actually.
part of like the way that the game is designed too, like the controls game.
Mhm.
It's not you're not moving.
It's a
You're
PC game first.
Yeah, so shooters do not work on console unless they were designed first to be on a console.
Like Halo.
Halo, Monday Night Combat, those are really, really awesome.
Wii games tend to work.
They don't really work on PC.
Wii games do not translate
They
into
only work
shooters
on
well.
console.
It depends.
I
really.
played Monday
Yeah,
Night Combat
they play
on
quite
PC.
well with the Wii.
and
It's
it
not
was
quite
like,
mouse and keyboard, but it's better
this is
than
terrible.
analog.
This is not a really fun game. I played hours and hours and hours of Monday Night
Just
Combat
make sure you
on
don't play like the really crappy
Xbox.
FPSs.
It was designed for that.
There's a lot of crack.
You have 3 abilities
Call of
because
Duty's
there's
not
the
that
jump
bad,
button,
it's just
and then there's 3 more face buttons. Those are
But
your
this is
abilities.
zero mode.
If you go on to a
A lot of them
WASD
play
thing,
nicely with the
where
Wii.
do you map
Just
these
the
3
game
ability
sucks,
buttons?
unfortunately.
And you've got to switch weapon
That'd be
button,
so
and,
cool.
like numbers
If you
1,
could
2,
pull
and
that
3,
off.
it's hard to do that while you're moving. And a lot of these are like the
Yeah.
jetpack ability. You're just jumping forward, and you keep moving forward, and you activate your jetpack. You have to hold W, and jetpack is like ability number 2 because they made it for the console. So where do I put ability number 2 where I can easily? I guess I could do that. Turn it off, on and off like that.
Oh, you were talking about Monday Night Combat for the console versus
Yeah,
PC?
yeah. So it was
It's kinda
designed as a console
confusing.
game, and it's really awesome because the whole design of the game, the very idea that you have exactly 3 abilities per class that are activated with a button, that was informed by console controllers. All of the functions you do in the game are informed by the fact that you have 4 shoulder buttons, 4 face buttons, and a stick.
They weren't thinking about the key
Yeah,
bindings as good as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
because when I play it on the PC, it's like I have to remap this so I can know this is my switch weapon button, and then I'm still confused.
Right, so, and when you design something for the PC, you have a very clear idea. You have WASD, Q and E are right next to there, you've got buttons on the right, you've got number row at the top, you've got tab, and that
Alt.
changes your idea of like, how many actions do we focus on for like switching weapons, reloading. You know, there are characters in TF2 by default all have a minimum of 3 weapons.
Yeah.
In
Unless you're the
Halo
engineer.
or
Or the spy.
minimum, I said. Minimum of 3 weapons.
And unless you're
In
using
Halo
a weapon
or
that takes up a slot.
in
That's
Halo
true.
or Monday Night Combat or Call of Duty, which was always designed to be on both from the very beginning, you just have 2 weapons, so you just have 1 button for switch weapon. you know, so if you design it from the start, shooters work really well on consoles, but you can't just design it for one and port it right over. So TF2 is kind of a disaster.
Like Call of Duty, like they kind of made up for the swivel thing because you can auto aim.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder how the hell did gears work on there? Because I think you can carry like 4 weapons in gears.
But
Yeah,
then
they
you
use
And
the
all,
D-pad.
and all the
D-pad.
weapon switching's on the D-pad.
Yeah.
So if it's back to the D-pad, that's kind of simple.
Yeah.
It's kind of sacrifices your moment of mobility, doesn't it? Though, because if
No, because you use the thumbstick to move around.
No. I mean, like you use the left thumbstick, but then you
have to stop
Well,
moving.
yeah,
Well,
that,
we'll give
that's
that-
because
it's
it's
a
a.
brief moment. I'm
Yeah,
just
so like
Well,
it makes sense. You might
The thing
not.
though,
But
the
in
thing though,
Gears-
that game is not exactly
Yeah.
run and gun per se. You're
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
cover-based
That-
shooting.
You
I
run
can
to
understand
cover
that.
and switch
Yeah,
your weapon,
exactly.
which actually makes sense.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
works
you're not
exactly
going to
like that.
switch
It
your
sort of
weapon
makes
while
sense
you're
that it's
moving
hard to
around.
run and
You
switch
don't want
weapons
to
at the
use. You
same
don't want to
time.
use that control scheme in much faster pace.
I like how this is our
We
run
can-
and switch
yeah, yeah.
weapons.
Well, that's what you do.
Pull it out
Got my
of
shotgun
Halo
here.
Shooter.
Got-
You know, with the first
just like-
2 or 3 Halo games,
Or just from the pocket dimension. It's
with
like
the first 2 or
link.
3
What the
Halo
hell are
games,
we,
you had to hold
Doraemon?
down the stick to crouch.
The Doraemon, like
You couldn't just tap it
pull out
in and
something
hold it
out of
down.
the pouch.
And
Although
some
you
pretty
could,
much.
although you could change the settings to actually make it toggle.
Right. Well, they made that the default, and on I don't think you could change it with Halo 2. I played
Oh,
Halo
what?
2 mostly. So
Combo
Halo
crouch.
2 crouch is like you had to hold down the
Oh.
left stick. You couldn't just tap it.
Oh, I-
And they actually, it was a design decision where they defended it. They said, have you ever tried to crouch walk? It's really tough and inconvenient, and it takes effort. And the idea is
Yeah.
it will take effort for you to walk around while crouching so that you don't appear on the radar while moving. Like, you have to work at it. And it makes it harder for you to do stuff with the rest of your controller. It was very deliberately made more difficult. And that's the thing that, like, you know, you really, they're designing this whole experience with the controller in mind. How do you map that over to the keyboard? You would have to, like, force people to have binds where it's difficult to reach or something.
I played games where the controls were so confusing that I just remap all the keys and I'd still be confused.
Armor 2.
Oh, great. What does this button
I don't
do?
want to derail the topic of TF2, but I mean, like, with regards to controls, am I kind of weird in the way I play, like, emulator, like, games? Like, say, a GBA emulator, I don't use the arrow keys or anything. I just pretend I'm, like, as if I'm just normally
Yeah.
typing, and I just simply,
I do that too.
let me see what.
WASD
Yeah, I
plus
do
C
normal
next.
typing.
No, I
if
mean,
I
like-
want to push left on the D-pad, I type in
No,
left.
I mean,
had
like,
to make
like
a
for
map.
example, I would actually, I mean, WASD works fine, right? But I actually even prefer using ESDF instead. That's my.
I use
like,
LRUD.
and then I use JK as my A or B buttons in Game Boy Advance games. So it's kind of like playing a Game Boy Advance game, but with these fingers instead. So I don't know.
Well, use the same fingers for WSD.
Yeah.
No, I know that. But
Well,
I mean,
that's
like,
not
if I
what
wanna
we
hit
needed to
the
talk about.
select button,
Anyhow.
I press A or maybe
Did I
press
miss the
down
talk on the
R.
top?
Should we-
Oh, that's
guy?
kind of convenient.
That's what I mean. Like I don't like switching between
do
tab
you
and
wanna-
caps
to
lock
talk
and
about
shit.
talk?
I think
Do
there's
you
quite
wanna-
a
Yeah,
few-
we talked about the talk.
I mean,
Do
like
you want to like
okay.
do a,
I have my
you
A
want us to
button
like
serve
a
as
new
my L
game? I
button.
guess then.
What did I miss on TF2? Like the flare gun. And
Mostly
then
about him.
Mostly me ranting on why I don't like it.
And that turned into a
I think
discussion
the
of
SDF is
how
more
can,
basic
you know,
than the
balancing.
TF2,
Like, if you're using,
if
like,
you look
if
at
you're
the
trying to
overall
do an
popular
emulator,
view, if you just take the
Yeah.
aggregate of what
I don't
everyone
know. I
thinks,
haven't played much
TF2 is a
shooters
really
on
great,
PC,
really
so I
fun
don't know
game that
exactly.
everybody loves.
I don't doubt that. So,
So,
it's like
so it turned into a discussion of,
I-
if
I
you have a
I
really great
underst-
game, how can you still screw up the first time experience for someone who is really giving your game a shot? It can still screw up, and how could a game that so many
and
people like
and I
screw
try
up for
and I
somebody?
try because I was thinking I played for like about
And they're
3 or 4 hours and I tried to like it and I would just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great discussion because there are a lot of ways you can screw up the first time experience.
Yeah,
I
we were not interrogating him about
Yeah,
why he didn't like
it kind of turned into it because he was the only one who could play devil's advocate.
We were blaming Valve basically.
Yeah.
It's a really nice thing to actually like go deeper into the game and not just read.
Yeah.
Here's something you'd hear in a review. This was great. I liked it. The graphics were wonderful. How? What?
So,
Cindy, you have a little hat.
so what did you think about this discussion idea? Was it
Oh, this
cool?
Great.
It was
I
cool,
don't.
but
I
I
feel
think
like I
it
might
went
have
off track.
derailed it.
Just
a
need a
little
hard
bit.
hat.
Yeah, and it started late and it went over.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
It was
I don't know if it's alright.
I was like, I think it could have been a lot better if we
More
actually
guided.
discussed Yeah.
Maybe if you
actual
planned it
topics
out,
of the game.
I prepared.
Well,
questions.
everyone's already
If it
played
was
it,
like-
so we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't need to.
If it was
talk
like
about
if we
it.
discuss,
Talk about,
you know,
like, the-
maybe the visual style and how that applies to the game, and then you
Or
know
maybe, like-
maybe their decision to switch from a
What if
you know,
we
a
had
full
part 2
paid
next
price
week?
to
I
monetization.
thought it
Or
was
maybe if you wanna
interesting
talk
the
about,
way you put up like Halo's decision for the crouching mechanic and
Yeah.
how the controls
Yeah.
lent to the game feel.
Yeah, we kind of diverged to.
We were talking
that
about
was
that.
consult.
We were talking about
kinda
that a
led
couple
to
weeks
that,
ago
but
with
whatever.
co-op and stuff though as well.
Yeah,
So
but
We had a discussion about
But
advanced
specifically for like
TF2 deserved a whole hour, really.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
talk about a
Maybe
game
next-
that popular, that's been developed for that long.
And something with so much thought put into its design.
Yeah, there's all those
Yeah,
hidden
it
things you
took,
can
what,
talk about, like
15
Crit Roll.
years?
How long did it take to make?
15 years.
Well,
Like,
I
as
mean,
of the
once they
first
figured
time
out
that they-
the good one, it only took like 4 years. But
Yeah,
they kept
it took
starting
them
over because
15
it wasn't
years
fun.
to go from
I
a
thought,
realistic
like-
shooter to Team Fortress 2's.
Yeah.